ஹலோ செல்வராஜ் ஃபாதர், நான் உங்களை அன்மியூட் பண்ணுறேன், நீங்கள் அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்க ஃபாதர். ஹலோ ஃபாதர் செல்வராஜ். ஃபாதர் நான் பேசுறது கேக்குதுங்களா? செல்வராஜ் ஃபாதர், நீங்க அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்க, உங்களுக்கு கொடுத்துட்டு இருக்கேன். ஓகே
கேக்குதுங்களா
ஃபாதர்? கேக்குதுங்களா? ஓகே, நான் ரெடி ஃபாதர்.
கேக்குதுங்களா
ஃபாதர்? கேக்குது, நீங்க பேசுங்க.
எஸ் எஸ் யா
கேக்குதா ஃபாதர்?
ஹலோ
தெளிவா
எவ்ரிவன்.
கேக்குது.
எஸ்
ஆனா ஸ்டக் ஆகுது ஃபாதர்.
எந்த ஸ்டக் ஆகுதா?
ரொம்ப ஸ்டக் ஆகுது, ரொம்ப ஸ்டக் ஆகுது. நீங்க மொபைல் வச்சிருக்கனால வெளியில கூட வந்துடலாம் நீங்க. உங்க வாய்ஸ் ஸ்டக் ஆகுது. ஓகே, நான் ஒரு ஃபாதர்ட்ட பேசுறேன். ஹலோ ஃபாதர், கேக்குதுங்களா ஃபாதர்?
Yes, I can hear you.
ஓகே ஓகே ஃபாதர், ஓகே ஓகே. நீங்க ஷேர் ஸ்கிரீன்ல உங்க இது எடுத்து வச்சுக்கோங்க ஃபாதர், உங்க பிபிடி. ஃபாதர் உங்க ஷேர் ஸ்கிரீன்ல உங்க பிபிடி எடுத்து வச்சுக்கோங்க.
கேக்குது. வாய்ஸ் எந்த வாய்ஸ் ஸ்டக்? வாய்ஸ் பாதத்துல உட்கார்ந்துட்டா ஸ்டார்டிங் முடிச்சிட்டு நான் அவரு.
ஹலோ
ஹலோ
ஃபாதர்.
ஹலோ.
ஓகே 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 ஓகே, ஃபுல் ஸ்கிரீன் வந்துருச்சு ஃபாதர். பண்ணியாச்சு. ஓகே, ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாமா ஃபாதர்? செல்வா ஃபாதர், நீங்க ஓகே அப்படியே இருங்க, அந்த பக்கத்துல இருக்க வெளியே வர சொல்லிருங்க. அந்த ஷேடோ தெரியுது பாருங்க உங்களுக்கு.
பின்னாடி வந்து எந்த முடிச்சிட்டு போய்
சேவியர் ஃபாதர், உங்களுக்கு பக்கத்துல இருக்கவங்க வெளியில வர சொல்லுங்க, நம்ம ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிடலாம். அந்த ஷேடோ தெரியுது பாருங்க, அங்க சைடுல இருக்க எல்லாத்தையும் வர சொல்லிருங்க.
யூடியூப் அனுப்பிச்சிட்டீங்களா அந்த 4 குரூப்புக்கு? வாட்ஸ்அப்ல இவன்
செல்வா ஃபாதர்.
They're helping me to
Father Selva
video. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear the voice.
Father, I started here.
Okay, start பண்ணு. செல்வா ஃபாதர் அன்மியூட் பண்ணல. ஹலோ செல்வா ஃபாதர், நீங்க அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்க ஃபாதர்.
பிரபு சார் கேக்குதுங்களா?
கேக்குது.
நான் இப்ப ஃபாதர் அருள் சேவியர் இதுல உட்காந்துருக்கிறேன்.
அப்படிங்களா? செல்லமணி சிஸ்டம்ங்களா?
செல்லமணி சிஸ்டத்துல.
ஓகே, நீங்க பேசிட்டு நீங்க எழுந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் ஃபாதர் பேசுறாரா?
சஞ்சய் பேசுவாரு, அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் இவரு வருவாரு. அது இன்பிட்டிவ்ல
நீங்க வீடியோ ஆன் பண்ணுங்க ஃபாதர், வீடியோ ஆன் பண்ணுங்க. இப்போ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து செல்வா ஃபாதர் இல்லையா? உங்க வீடியோ ஆன் பண்ணவே இல்லை, உங்க சிஸ்டத்துல ஆன் பண்ணி நான் கொடுத்துருக்குறேன். ஓகேவா ஃபாதர்? இந்த பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல இருக்கவங்களை மட்டும் வெளியில வர சொல்லுங்க. நான் இப்போ வந்து செல்வா ஃபாதர், அதுக்கப்புறம் சஞ்சய் ஃபாதர், அருள் சேவியர் ஃபாதர், 3 பேர் மட்டும் நீங்க உள்ள இருக்க போறீங்க. இப்போ நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்றீங்க. நீங்க பேசி முடிச்சோடனே ஓவரால் டு ஃபாதர் சஞ்சய் ஃபாதருக்கு அப்புறம் நீங்க எழுந்து போயிடுவீங்க, அவரு ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிடுறாரு. ஓகேவா ஃபாதர்?
ஓகே.
ஃபாதர் நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாம்.
A very good morning to everyone. Sorry for the convenience, dear friends. Hope you are all keeping safe. May God bless us all and guide everyone to make our efforts a fruitful one. I'm really glad to connect with you all this virtual seminar on body language, of the unconscious, hosted by Research and PG Department of Counseling Psychology, Sacred Heart College, Tirupattur. It is an autonomous college accredited by NAC with A+ grade and ARF fourth cycle, and imparts the knowledge to around 5,000 young boys and girls in and around Tirupattur district. Our Department of Counseling Psychology was established in 2014, and in the history of our department, we are delighted to offer for the first time the online webinar to more than 1,000 participants from India and from other countries. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest, says Benjamin Franklin. Once we were learning technologies, but today the technology is teaching us. Let this give you new learning and enrich your life. With this short introduction, we invite our head of the department and the convener of today's webinar, Reverend Father Dr. Joe Sanjay, to welcome all and to introduce the resource person.
Thank you, Father Silveraj. Dear friends, a warm good morning to you all. Indeed, it's a pleasure to welcome each and every one of you. We are happy about this overwhelming response. More than 1,200 participants from 186 institutions have registered for this program. We have participants from 18 different countries. Thank you all for your interest in this virtual seminar. On behalf of our rector, Father John Alex, our principal, Father Marie Anthony, I extend a hearty welcome to you all. Welcome, dear friends. It's my pleasure to introduce the resource person of the day, Father Arul Xavier. Father Arul Xavier earned his master's from the prestigious Fordham University, United States. He has specialized in the field of counseling and psychotherapy. He is an erudite scholar, yet simple and down to earth. At present, he is the director of the Capuchin Institute of Counseling and Psychotherapy, Krishnagiri, Tamil Nadu. A warm welcome to you, dear fathers. Dear friends, once again, a hearty welcome to you all. Have a great learning. Thank you. Over to Father Arul Xavier.
ஹலோ ஃபாதர், நீங்க அன்மியூட் பண்ணிக்கோங்க ஃபாதர். ஓகே ஃபாதர். ஃபாதர் நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாம்.
Good morning, friends, and a hearty welcome to this online session on body language. Body language is a very, very interesting because we all of us always communicate through our body. This is the first language that was spoken when the human race came into existence. Because we never had any language as the human beings came into existence. We're communicating only through our body. Our forefathers who were living in the cave, communicating only through their bodies, because there was no language at that time. And because they were constantly communicating through the body can speak louder than the words that we utter. And it becomes the medium of communication. The body becomes the medium of communication. Because we had been using our body to communicate, and therefore that becomes a very, very powerful medium. And therefore, it can speak in our words. Because we don't speak throughout the day. Whenever it is necessary, we speak. but the body is speaking constantly. We are communicating always. We cannot not communicate. Let me repeat this again. We cannot not communicate, so which means we cannot remain without any communication. Whether we speak or don't speak, we always communicate. Whether we want to communicate or don't want to communicate, still we communicate. So we cannot not communicate. We always constantly communicate with other people. We speak different languages. Only 500,000 years back, the language came into existence. Because the human brain began to develop. It tripled in size some 500,000 years back. Until then, no language at all. Some 500,000 years back, the human beings, the brain of the human beings developed, and therefore they will communicate with different languages. Now, what for do we have the language? Why do we use the language? Why do we utter words? It is simply for sharing information, sharing facts and data. To communicate our emotions, to communicate what we are feeling, we don't need the language at all, because our forefathers were using only the body language. Now, in the modern days, to communicate information, to share the information, to share the facts and data with other people, of course, we need the language. Albert Mehrabian, a professor from the University of California, Los Angeles, used Rule 73855. This is Dr. Albert Mehrabian's 73855 rule. It says that only 7% we communicate through spoken words. We are using different languages, only 7% to communicate. The 38% of communication is happening through our tonality, the speed of the words that we utter, or the tonality that we use, the rhythm that we use. And 55% of the communication is happening through our body language. Now, when I communicate to you, I'm using my hands, I'm using my eyes, my head, and the whole body to communicate. So when we communicate with people, only 7% we communicate through our words. Rest 93% of the communication is happening through nonverbal communication. If you look at this picture, immediately you'll be able to find out what is happening to these babies. One is crying, the other one is just sipping something, and then the other one is very happy about it. They don't speak any language, they don't utter anything, but still we are able to find out what is happening to these babies. Imagine Charlie Chaplin, some time back, had to act for 1.5 hours or 90 minutes or sometimes 2 hours. But without uttering even a single word, he has to communicate to people what he is going through, what he's feeling. Because there is no provision for audio during his time. And therefore, he communicated everything through his eyes, through his body language. So once again, I want to reiterate that we need the language to communicate data, to share the information with other people, but to share our feelings, to share our emotions, we don't need the language at all. When we communicate with other people, how do we communicate? We communicate in 2 different ways. Verbally, we communicate, and non-verbally, we communicate. Verbally and non-verbally, we communicate with each other. We have different types of non-verbal messages or communication. We start with artifactics. What do we mean by artifactics? The watch that I use, the clothing that I wear, the specs that I'm wearing, my house, my car, my two-wheeler, the ornaments that I use, the gadgets that I use, everything comes under artifactics. So through these physical objects, I'm communicating what I am or who I am, or I'm communicating my status. If I have a particular phone, which is very costly, then I'll just communicate to people, yes, I am from this particular prestigious family. Or when I have a costly car, I communicate to people, yes, I'm rich, I'm well off. When I wear the ornaments, which are really, really costly, I communicate something to the society. I don't have to say, this is a very costly phone, this is a very costly watch, or this is a very costly specs. I don't have to say to them, but I just communicate without saying anything to other people. So all these physical objects will come under artifacts. Proxemics. Proxemics is to do with the time. How do we make use of our time? Or do we keep up the time? Or are we punctual in attending the meeting or meeting people or going for any program and things like that? Are we able to respect people? The respect is shown by keeping up the time, by keeping up the punctuality. So when the appointment is given at 6 o'clock, or we there at 6 o'clock, or we take some extra time, 6:15, 6:30, or 6:45. Sometimes people take so much of time to be there for the class, for the seminar, or for other things. So which means by understanding the time the person is using, we can come to know whether the person is respecting somebody or not. This is what we mean by proxemics. Proxemics, the usage of space. When you interact with people, how close you go to people, or how far you are away from the people, or the whole torso is just moving this way or that way, how close you are standing close to the people, how you are interacting with them, or how you approach them. Are you comfortable when people come close to you, when they touch you? So everything comes under proxemics. So how do we use the space? Olfactics. It is to do with the smell, to smell. Are we smelling good? What kind of cologne we use? What kind of scent we use? How do we smell? How our clothing smell? So everything comes under olfactics. Chromatics. What color do we choose when we go for buying the fridge or the chair or even the shirt or pants or sari, whatever you want to buy? What color you choose very often? And what meaning you attach to that particular color? I like this particular color and this is the meaning. When I wear this, I feel this way. So what you want to communicate by the choice of color that you are making when you want to buy the clothing or whatever objects you want to buy. Kinesics, this also can be pronounced as kinesics or kinesics, both the ways you can pronounce it. This is to do with the whole body. How I move my hands, how I move my limbs, how I move my legs, how I move my torso, how I move my head. So everything comes under kinesics or kinesics. Oculesics, how do I look at people? How long do I look at people? How intense my look is? Where do I look at people? And do I maintain the eye contact? So everything will come under oculesics. Haptics, this is to do with the touch. How do I touch people? Where do I touch people? Are they comfortable with my touch or are they disturbed because of my touch? So the touch can tell whether a person is good or bad. These days, we are teaching the kids what is a good touch and bad touch. Now, everything comes into this nonverbal communication. So by the very touch, we can find out whether somebody wants to comfort us or they are trying to inflict some pain upon us. So all this will come under haptics. Vocalics, the tonality that we use. Do we raise our voice or is it very low? So how is the rhythm? How is the pattern? Whether does it go really fast or it's slow? We're able to understand. So everything comes under vocalics. Because when people are stressed out, when we're going through some tough time, sometimes we are not able to utter the word we want to utter. So the vocalics can betray whether somebody is under stress or not. Finally comes silence. Silence is also a non-verbal communication. So by maintaining the silence, I can tell something to my friends, my colleagues. Without communicating something, I can still communicate to other people what I'm intending to do. So everything will come under silence. Our main focus here will be kinesics, reflexics, and a little bit of proxemics. So how do we define this body language? It is a non-verbal communication. Body language is a non-verbal communication between two individuals or a group of individuals. I can just communicate with only my friend or with a group of people. How do I communicate? In what way I communicate? Through physical behavior, such as limb movements, my facial expressions, eye movements, other bodily gestures and postures. So I make use of different parts of my body to communicate either to the individual or to a group of people. So these are the features of the body language. The posture that I take and the head motion that I use, my face expression, my eye contact, my gestures. So everything comes under the body language. These are the features of the body language. There is a difference between sign language and the body language. Sign language is learned to communicate something to some people, whereas the body language is not learned. It is inherent. We, all of us, are born with that body language. We observe people and we slowly just learn. Whereas the sign language is purposely it is learned, and we are voluntarily communicating something to people. Whereas in body language, voluntarily we may communicate something, or without our awareness also we may be communicating things to other people. Ray Birdwhistell is saying that human beings are multisensorial. We can understand others not just by listening to them, by seeing them, by smelling them, by touching them, by the touch that we receive from other people. So we are multisensorial. We are not just with only one sense. Human beings, races, occasionally human beings will verbalize. When there is a real need, they may verbalize. Otherwise, they always communicate with their body alone. So body language is important because of this reason, that we always communicate whether we like it or not. Birdwhistell also say that no action or the posture or the gesture has meaning in itself. Now, if you tell me, okay, so what is the meaning of this? I'm just touching my cheek, or I'm just rubbing my head like this. So what is the meaning of it? No, I cannot tell you what is the meaning of it, because it doesn't have meaning in itself. Any body language, for that matter, does not have any meaning itself. Only in context it has the meaning. So only in context we can understand the meaning of the body language. Now, why do we want to listen to what is not spoken? We all of us are intending to study body language. Why do we want to study that? Why do we want to listen to what is not spoken? Why? Because the unconscious manifests itself through the body. Let me reiterate, the unconscious manifests itself through the body. Whether we like it or not, the unconscious will manifest itself through the body language. And therefore, we want to listen to what is not uttered. Of course, we want to listen to whatever is being uttered. At the same time, we also want to listen to things which are not uttered by other people. The body emits signals that are independent of conscious actions. Whether we are aware of it or not aware of it, the body is automatically emitting signals that are independent of conscious actions. And therefore, that's why in the beginning itself, I said that the body language, the body can speak louder than words. When I speak, I choose the word. When I communicate, there is a choice in the usage of language, the usage of words. Whereas when I communicate through my body, no, it doesn't happen. Because the body emits signals that are independent of conscious actions. Now, Sigmund Freud very beautifully said that no human beings can keep a secret. If something is going on within me, I cannot just keep it as a secret, because I will reveal things to people. I will reveal things to people. So if you are trained in the body language, you can just very well observe and find out what is going on in my mind, what I'm going through in my life. And then Freud would say, betrayal oozes out of every pore. Betrayal oozes out of every pore. We cannot just remain without any communication. We always communicate. Betrayal oozes out of every pore, because the unconscious is communicating, the unconscious speaking to other people. When we talk about the body language, usually it is grouped along two lines: the parts of the body and the intent. When we say the parts of the body, it means how do we communicate with our eyes? How do we communicate with our palms, the fingers, with the torso, and with the head? And how do we communicate with our lips? So what part of the body we use when we communicate? And what is the intent? What is the intent? Whether it is intentional movement. When I look at somebody, when somebody is asking me, so how was the performance? I just give this. Good, really good. I just show my thumb. It is intentional movement. This is the body part that I'm using, and this is intentional movement, voluntary movement. So I consciously choose and say, yes, this is really good. At the same time, if I'm not happy with that guy, and I'm not happy about the performance, I may be using my hand. This may be the gesture, but there are some of the involuntary movements which will betray that I'm not happy with that guy. So I may be just giving this, but you will not have any expression on my face. I will give a blank look, something like this. So which means my body is communicating. Okay, a part of my body is communicating, yeah, this is really good. At the same time, what is happening here is that my face is communicating that I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with the performance that you just gave. So the body, when we talk about the body language, there are two lines. One is the body parts. The other one is what kind of intent we have. When body language, when we learn body language, women have very good advantage because they are very good in reading body language. Women are very, very good in reading the body language. Women's intuition. This is called women's intuition. In Harvard University, a study was done some time back. A movie was played. Men and women were asked to watch that movie. Men and women were asked to watch that movie. And they were just watching that. And when they were watching the movie, it was put on mute. No audio was played. So they had to watch the whole movie. And then men and women were given papers and pens to write down what went on. So many people are talking and a few people are interacting with each other. So just write down what went on there in the movie. Women also wrote down the conversations and men also wrote down the conversations. And when women wrote down, 87% of what they wrote was true. And for men, it's only 42%. So which means the women were able to observe what was going on. They were able to observe the body language, and they were able to find out what they would have said, what they would have communicated. But men were not able to find out exactly what went on. The reason is that women in the brain, they are using 14 to 16 areas to observe the body language and to understand the body language. Whereas men are using only 4 to 6 areas in the brain to understand the body language. So women are very good in understanding the body language. You cannot very easily lie to a woman. To a man, of course, very easily you can say lie because it's not going to focus on the body language very much. Whereas a woman in the brain is activating 14 to 16 areas. It is they are born with that ability, and therefore very easily they can understand the body language. Now, why do we study body language? What is the purpose? Why at all we want to learn this skill? Why do we want to study body language? The first thing is to understand ourselves better. Why am I doing this particular thing very often? Why do I have this behavior? Probably I have the habit of nail biting. Why am I doing that very often? Very often I'm just rubbing here. Why am I doing that? So the study of body language will help me to understand more about myself. What is happening within me? And if I have any very good quality, or if I have a healthy behavior, the study of body language can help me to improve on it. Now, when I address people, when I interact with people, when I shake hands with people, when I meet people, there are few body languages which are really good, and many people have observed and told me, okay, I have to really work on it. I have to better this body language. So by studying body language, I can improve on my healthy behavior. Now, the body language also can help me to communicate effectively with people. By learning this skill, I can employ it in my conversation, in my relationship, in my teaching, and wherever I go, I can make use of this, effectively communicate with other people. And another advantage of learning this body language skill is to understand other people and to help them. Now, I have not typed here to evaluate or to criticize someone. I look at someone, I see their body language. I'm not going to evaluate them. I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to brand them. I understand them so that I can help them in a better way. Robert Karhoff would say that if you observe the body language of someone, you can offer empathy, especially when you're into counseling. And if you observe the body language of someone, you'll be able to offer more empathy just by observing. You don't have to tell, I'm going through some pain, I'm going through some tough time. Just by observing the body language, you'll be able to offer empathy. So we learn the body language, we learn the skill to understand people so that we'll be able to offer help, empathy, and finally, to safeguard ourselves from other people. Now, in the society, you will come across a number of people who will be there to help you. At the same time, there are people who also can harm you. So if you study the body language, you'll be able to understand what kind of behavior the person is having, whether the person will be helping me or is going to harm me. Such kind of things you'll be able to understand by studying this particular skill, body language. Now, having said that, we now move on to non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication. We start with proxemics. Proxemics. Proxemics would mean study of how space is used in human relationship, in human interaction. How do you make use of the space? Now, we have different kinds of zones. We have public zone, social zone, personal zone, and finally, intimate zone. We have 4 different zones. Now, when we have to address the public gathering, when we have to address people, when there are a number of people, we usually take this public zone. When we have to address a group of people, we just stay away from them and we address people, we take this position. When we have to interact with people, they are strangers, we don't know who they are, but we have to interact with them. In such case, we take a social zone. These days, we have to maintain the social zone because of COVID-19. because the government is time and again insisting that we have to stay away from each other, we have to wear masks, a number of things they are telling us, and it is better that we maintain social zone these days. So we have something to do with people. At the same time, we don't know who they are. They are strangers. In that case, we maintain social zone. It's about 4 to 12 feet. Personal zone, when we go for parties, when we go for any marriage celebrations or social gatherings, then we take up this position or we take up this personal zone. We almost 1 feet or some 2 feet, just stand close to each other and we are able to interact with people. And finally comes the intimate zone between 15 to 46 centimeters. If the zone is very small, it would mean that we are close to somebody. I'm not talking about the travel that you take, we are going by bus or by train or by other public transportation. You have to stand very close to each other. I'm not talking about that. But when we voluntarily interact with people and we are standing very close to them, it would mean that we are very close, that we are very closely related to them, especially when we are interacting with our parents. We're standing very close to them and interact. When we are talking to our children, we are standing very close to them. The partners, husband and wife, they're standing close to each other and they're talking. You have very close friend, and you don't maintain the social zone, you don't maintain other persons. You're just standing very close to them and you're talking. So which would mean you are very close to the person, and therefore you take up this intimate zone. We all of us have airspace, or we call it personal space. Airspace or personal space. We all of us have it. And we all of us carry that airspace wherever we go. Wherever we go, whether we are going to the college or the school or to the market or the bus stand or the railway station, wherever we go, we always carry this airspace. We don't want someone to enter into our airspace or the personal space. For animals, especially for lion, the airspace is 50-kilometer radius. So no strange lion can come into that airspace of that particular lion. If it comes immediately, smell and then go and attack that guy so that he's able to send him out of his airspace. And we all of us have the airspace. And when people try to enter into our airspace without our permission, we are feeling threatened. We are feeling threatened because they are invading into our airspace or the personal space. And therefore, when we interact with people, when we talk to people, we have to be aware of this. We need to always respect the airspace of someone, the airspace of our friends, and we have to maintain that distance. So if you're working in the office or you're working in a school or college, it is always good that you respect the airspace of someone, your teacher, your professor, or the students, you respect them, and that's how you'll be able to have a very good relationship with them. So the airspace differs from people to people. For some people, it will be just for some people, 2.5 feet. As you interact with them, you'll be able to understand what is the airspace for these people. So in this picture, you find a girl is having a cup of coffee or tea, and a man is coming very close to that girl, and she's just going back. This is what you find pictured here. So which means the man is getting into the airspace or personal space of the girl, and therefore she's just withdrawing. She's being threatened, and therefore she's just going back. In the same way, when you shake hands with your friends, it is good that we respect the airspace at the same time, come a little closer. The sense, you have to respect the airspace and shake hands with them. If you are trying to stay away, we are trying to stand away from them and we are just giving the handshake, it is a negative approach. So which means I'm not interested in you, I don't care for you, just for formality's sake, hi, that's all. So if you want to really get connected to people, that you understand the personal space and shake hands with them. Usually the personal space will be like 2.5 feet. So it will be like 2.5 feet for some people 1.5 feet. So it differs from people to people. So as as you, talk to them and as you observe them, you'll be able to understand what is their space. We have to treat personal space as the property of other people. We have to treat personal space as the property of other people. You would not take the mobile phone of someone without their permission. Or somebody has a car and you know them, you will not just take the key and then drive the car. You will not just take the scooter or the two-wheeler of someone without their permission. Or without the permission of someone, you will not enter into the house of someone. So when you use the physical objects, you always get the permission, you respect it, and you use it. If at all you want to use the mobile phone, you have to get permission from somebody. Okay, could I please use the cell phone, your phone? Could I please use your computer, your laptop, or your whatever object you have? In the same way, we have to respect the personal space or the airspace of someone, because the airspace is the extension of myself. My body does not stop here. My body just does not stop here. It stops here. We call this airspace. And when we are able to understand this airspace, when we are able to respect this airspace, we'll be able to have a very good interaction. We'll be able to have very good relationship with other people. So proxemics would mean how we respect people by the usage of the space, whether we're able to respect their space or we getting into their space and causing them disturbance. If somebody's just going back when you approach them, that's a clear sign that you are entering into their personal space. Now, many people get into problems because they don't understand the proxemics and they don't understand the personal space. Here we see 3 pictures we see. So if you meet a stranger, you always maintain the social zone, the first one. You keep some distance, say hi, hello to them, and maintain the relationship for some time. After some time, you can allow them into the personal zone, the second picture we see. After some time, once you see, yeah, this person is good, then you can allow the person into your personal zone. And finally, if the person is really good, you can allow them into the intimate zone, which means he or she is my close friend. So we start here. So we start with the social zone. Yeah, I just came to know this person some 2 days back or 3 days back or 1 week back. Yeah, just put them in the social zone. Evaluate them, understand them. And if they are worthy of your relationship, allow them into the personal zone, the second stage. And if they're really, really good, and if they manifest lots of goodness, and if you find, yeah, the person is really good, then you can allow them into the intimate zone, and the person becomes really a good friend. But what happens, some people, they don't have this kind of category, like social zone, personal zone, and intimate zone. They just open up all the zones, and straight away, they allow them into the personal zone or the intimate zone. They don't have this kind of category. They meet them just 2 days, they just met them some 2 days back, and then immediately they allow them into the intimate zone. That person becomes very close to that person. So when such things happen, the other person can manipulate you. The other person can exploit you. And therefore, you have to keep this in mind, that you have to put them in the social zone and allow them to the personal zone, and finally they can get into the intimate zone. Now we move on to acoulexics. Acoulexics would mean the study of eye movement, eye behavior, eye contact, the blink, raising the eyebrows, and pupil dilation. So everything comes under acoulexics. How do we use our eyes to communicate, to see, and how do we use our eyes to communicate our compassion, our kindness to other people? So everything comes under acoulexics. Here we see, if you observe people, and if the eyes of that particular person goes to the left corner, somebody is recalling something from their memory. For example, you are asking a question. Did you see that person yesterday in the bus stand? Did you see him yesterday? Visual memory. So, and you're asking, so what color dress was he wearing? In the person is willing to tell you the truth. In that case, the eyes will go to the left corner. The picture is shown here, a person's eye movement shown as you face them. So you are facing this person and his or her eye is going to the left corner, to the corner the eyes are reaching. So which means the person is recalling something from their memory. This is what we mean by visual memory. If the person has not seen anything like that, but the person wants to lie to you, then in that case, the eyes will go to the right corner up. If you want to recall something from your memory, the eyes will go to the left corner up. If you want to construct something, we are not telling the truth. They are trying to lie. In that case, yeah, I saw him and he was wearing, red color shirt, something like that. So when they are trying to lie, the eyes will go automatically will go to the right corner up. Now, one word of caution here. When you want to find out the truth from the other person, the person is not just going to stare like that and then recollect or visualize or construct something. Just for the fraction of the seconds, the eyes will go to the right corner there to lie. We want to recall something from the memory, just for the fraction of the second, you just go to the left corner and come down. Therefore, we have to keenly watch where the eyes are moving. And if you want someone to tell them, so what did he speak? You went to that particular meeting and what he was speaking, can you tell me what he was communicating? If they had listened to something, and if they want to give you the, exactly what they heard, in that case, they're recalling something from the memory and therefore the eyes will go to the left side again, straight line. They had to recall something from the memory. It is whatever they have seen. In that case, if you go up, they have to recall something from the memory. And if it is to do with the words, in that case, you go to the left straight line. In case they have not heard anything, they just want to cook up some story and they want to lie to you. So in that case, the eyes will go to the right straight line. They did not hear what they spoke, but they want to cook up some story and tell you. They just want to create something and tell you. In that case, the eyes will go to the right side, not to the corner, but a straight line. If you ask someone to imagine that they are walking on the grass early in the morning, so how do you feel? If you ask them to imagine, the eyes will go to the right corner down, because it is to do with kinesthetic. Yes, I'm walking on the grass, it's feeling very chill and the grass is very sharp. I just feel some tingling sensation, something like this. Whenever you connect with your kinesthetic sensation, then your eyes will go to the right corner down. When you have some personal talk, when you have a self-talk, the eyes will go automatically to the left side down, left corner down. So tomorrow you have to go to Mumbai for some meeting. In that case, you're just looking down and then saying, yeah, I packed my shirt and my pants and I packed this and that, okay, my charger is there. So you're having some kind of self-dialogue and automatically the eyes will go to the left corner down. So this is how the eyes are moving. So if you want to find out the truth from someone, by just asking questions and observing the eye movements, you can find out whether the person is telling you the truth or not. But as I said, you have to keep watching it because the eye movements will happen just for a fraction of a second. They're not just going to look like this for some time. They're not just going to look to the left corner for some time. Everything happens in a fraction of a second. When you're interacting with people, when you're talking to people, if you just observe the pupil, if it is dilated, which means they are really interested in you. I'm not able to see your eyes and the pupils because already 1,000 people are attending in the floor. There is no chance to look at your eyes of the people. But if you have any interaction with anyone, and if you see the pupil or the eye, if it is dilated, the person is happy with you and he is finding some meaning in your conversation. The person is happy that you are with him or you are talking to that person. And if the pupil is contracting, is becoming in size, it means they are not happy with you. They are not interested in what you are talking. Just by observing the eyes, we can find out you can go on with the conversation or you have to stop it. So you are talking to your friend and you're sharing number of things. Just look at the eyes. Are they really interested in your conversation or they just want to withdraw? The pupils will betray whether we are interested in the conversation or not. When you have conversation with people, if your stare or if your eyeing is more than 3 seconds, you're intimidating or threatening the other person. If it is your friend, you don't have to worry about it. You're just meeting a stranger or the person is not that close to you. And if you're just maintaining the steady eye contact for more than 3 seconds, it is an indication that you're trying to intimidate that person. You're trying to threaten that person. So it is always better that we avoid eye contact for more than 3 seconds if you're meeting a stranger. You are challenging that person, you are threatening that person. If it is with your fine, we can very well maintain the eye contact. If it is your family, with your family members, that's fine because you are closely related to them and therefore you can maintain the eye contact. But when you go for interview or if you are talking to your boss or anybody for that matter in the office, if you are maintaining the steady eye contact for 3 seconds continuously, usually it is 3.3 seconds, 3.3 seconds. If you are maintaining the steady eye contact, it is a sign that you are challenging that person or you are threatening that person. We have different kinds of eyeing. We have business eyeing, social eyeing, and intimate eyeing. We have 3 different kinds of eyeing: business eyeing, social eyeing, and intimate eyeing. If you're focusing on the eyes and the forehead, we are creating a triangle. This is what we mean by business eye. So first we start with business eye, social eye, and then intimate eye. You are just looking at only the eyes and the forehead. Your focus is around this place. You're creating a triangle here. This is what we mean by business eye. If you're meeting a stranger, somebody who's not known to you, the person is coming to sell something or they want to interact with you, it is better that you just maintain this kind of business eye. That's how they cannot sell any product to you or they cannot sell their lies to you. You'll be able to identify if they are telling the lies. So always maintain this business eye. Then we go for social eye. Social eye. This also, so this is also called power gazing. This business eye is also called power gazing. So when you maintain this eye contact, you have the power. When you maintain this eye contact, you have the power. Especially if you are a woman, if you have to interact with a man, and if you happen to be alone, always maintain this eye contact. Just focus on the eyes and the forehead. That's how you have the power, and this is called the power gaze. Focus on the eyes, the nose, the lips, and the chin. We call this social eye. You're working in the office, or you're working in the college, in the school, or in other places, in the government offices. In such case, it is better that you just maintain this particular eye contact. That is the social eye. This is the inverted triangle. Inverted triangle. The focus is on the eyes, the nose, and the chin. So that's how we'll be able to maintain very good relationship. We never ever go for intimate eyeing. If your eyeing goes beyond the chin, below the neck, then it's called intimate eye. only the partners are allowed to have such kind of intimate eye. So if you are working in the office, it is always better that you just maintain the social eye. And if you are meeting a stranger, it is always good that you maintain the business side so that you have the power and they cannot sell their lies to you. They cannot sell their product to you. Now we move on to kinesics. We move to kinesics. We start with the palm gestures and handshake. Palm gestures and handshake. Palm has got tremendous power. Alan Pease and Barbara Pease would say that palm has got some special power. It's called palm power. Now, whenever you keep your palms open like this, your arms open like this, and when you talk to people, you are telling them that I'm honest, I'm sincere, I don't have anything to hide. Now, this kind of practice came from from our forefathers. Whenever our forefathers, when they were living in the cave, and when they had to meet a different tribe, they just go and show the palms like this way. So which means I don't have any instrument, I don't have the axe, I don't have the stone to attack you. So which means I'm sincere, I'm clean, I'm innocent. So when people take this posture, they're communicating to people that they are sincere and they are. So whenever we address people, whenever we talk to people, we always maintain this posture so that the communication that we give or the message that we give will be well received. So you can observe number of politicians, number of people. Whenever they address the people, they always show the palms this way, okay? They will keep the palms open and they're addressing. Nobody will hold the hands like this, or nobody will be holding the lectern like this. They will be always making use of their palms like this, showing to them to show that they are sincere. They want to communicate things to them. They want to communicate the truth to them. That's how they'll be making use of these palm gestures. We have three kinds of palm gestures. One is the palm up position. The other one is palm down position, and palm closed and finger pointed position. This is the palm up position, palm down position, palm closed, finger pointed position. This is what we see here. So palm up position. Palm up position would mean that you are submissive, that you are kind, that you are gentle. This is the palm up position. So whenever you want to get things done, make use of this palm position. This will not threaten people. They will oblige and do whatever you are asking them. Please sit down. Take your seat. Or you don't have to even tell them, take your seat. Just when they're standing there and just show your hand. That's more than enough. So you will be telling them that without any power or without dominating them, you are telling them, please sit down. So this is the palm up position. So whenever you want to get things done, always make use of this posture. This will not be threatening people. So please sit down. Can you take care of that? Can you do that work? Can you complete that? Can you bring that laptop? Can you do this? Can you do that work for me? So whenever you are making use of this, that will help the people to do whatever you are asking. This is the palm down position. Now the palm down position is more of dominance. Sit down. Okay, what do you want? Sit down. Okay. You don't have to even tell them sit down. When you do this, people sit down. Because you have the power, you have the authority, and then just say sit down. So we are not supposed to use this kind of palm position, palm down position. This is more of dominance, more of authority. I am powerful. You have to obey to whatever I say. So sit down, do this, do that. So we don't use this kind of palm position. And finally, fingers pointed position. This is a sign of arrogance and aggression. You have to do it. You have to do it. You have to complete that. Okay. So you did it. So in case somebody has made some mistake, okay, probably you must have done that. So when you use this palm up position, they will not be feeling very much threatened. threatened. But when you're using this position, you did that. You are the cause for that. So when you're using this position, you are becoming very aggressive and you're expressing your arrogance to that particular person. Now we move on to handshake. We have different kinds of handshake. Just observe this picture. Putin is here and he's just moving his hand, his right hand, and Obama is sitting the other side and he's just coming with his hands. What kind of handshake is there? One is giving the submissive handshake, the other one is going for dominance. You can see the other picture also. Just look at this. Trump is going with the submissive handshake, whereas the other one is coming with the dominant handshake. So when you come across this kind of people, it is better that you avoid such kind of handshake, because we don't have to be submissive to people. It should be partnership, no handshake. So somebody wants to take control over you. Somebody wants to dominate you. Somebody wants you to obey all the time, and therefore they just come like this to do the handshake. In such case, you have to avoid it. How to avoid? So we call it disarming. Disarming. Somebody is coming like this to do the handshake. We don't have to go underneath like that. We just go hold the wrist here and then do the handshake. That's how we are telling them, I will not be submissive. I will not yield to whatever you are trying to do. I will not allow you to exploit me. Okay? So we go for more of partnership, more handshake. Then we want to politicians' handshake or glove handshake. We usually give only one hand, but if you are giving both the hands, it's a sign that we are doing the glove handshake. We are expressing more warmth. We are expressing more love. So if the person is known to you, if you are familiar with the person, in such case, we can go for glove handshake. If you're meeting the person for the first time, and if you go for the politician's handshake or the glove handshake, that will be misinterpreted or that will be misunderstood. And therefore, as far as possible, we avoid the glove handshake or the politician's handshake to people who are strange to us. This is always this is always good. This glove handshake is really good if the person is known to you. If they need your support, you're going to meet somebody in the hospital and they want you to be with them, you just do this handshake. That's how you are expressing your love to them, you're expressing your care to them, and you're expressing your kindness to them. Wet fish handshake or dead fish handshake. Some people you just give hand and it looks like dead fish or wet fish. So which means the person who's giving this kind of dead fish handshake is feeling defeated. The self-esteem is very, very low. And therefore, they are giving this kind of handshake, dead fish handshake or wet handshake. Knuckle grinder. You would have come across some people, they just come and then they hold the hand and then they're just squeezing it and it becomes really, really painful. This is knuckle grinder handshake. We try to avoid such kind of handshake. When you are meeting people, when you have to interact, you have to communicate something to them, you have to really, you have to really give a handshake which will help them to interact with you. So we avoid knuckle grinder. Giving only the tips of the finger, not feeling confident, not feeling confident. If a woman or a girl is giving this kind of handshake, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. Because she's meeting a stranger for the first time and therefore she's feeling vulnerable, that's fine. But if a man is giving this kind of handshake, he is feeling different or he's lacking confidence. Brush off. Some people just shake hands and then immediately leave them. Brush off. For them, only business is important. I have come here to do some business. You're not important. So they just give handshake and then immediately leave. This is the brush off handshake. Push away. Some people hold the hands, do the handshake, and then push you away from them, which means they are afraid that you are getting into their territory, getting into the airspace, and therefore they don't want you to come into the space, therefore just push you away. Some people pull you in, give the handshake and pull you in. It is an indication that they want to manipulate you, or probably they are feeling very close to you. And we also have different kinds of handshakes, starting with arms, and then we go to the elbow and then the shoulder. So all these handshakes will express warmth, good feeling, and love to the other person. So in all this, you find people holding the elbow or the shoulder or the arm. But the wrist hold and the elbow grasp are acceptable only between close friends or relatives. If somebody is a stranger to you, please don't do this, because this can be misunderstood. Now, we want to hand and arm gestures. We are making use of our hands, and we are trying to communicate with people. This has the history. In 16th century, John Bulwer writes chirologia, or the natural language of the hand, how we are making use of our hand to communicate. So it started in 16th century, and now we have lots of development in this. When somebody is rubbing their hand like this is a sign of positive expectation. They're meeting you, and they're just talking to you something, they're talking to you and they're rubbing their hands like this. It's a sign of a positive expectation. If the rubbing is really fast, it is a positive sign. You must have come across M.N. Nambiar, a famous villain in the old Tamil movies. Whenever he is plotting something, he'll be just doing this kind of gesture. He'll be rubbing the hands like this, but he'll be doing it slowly. He'll not be doing it this way, but he'll be just doing this slowly. It is a sign of deviousness. Okay? The person has a personal agenda, and he wants to complete that agenda, and therefore he's just doing that. This is a positive expectation. This is a sign of deviousness, or the person is having some kind of agenda. So when people have this kind of gestures, we have to be careful, because they'll be focusing only on their agenda and they will not offer any help to us. We have number of clenched position. Nirenberg talks about the clenched position. All this is an indication of frustration. Okay? When you're holding your hand like this or down like this, okay, this is an indication of frustration. Whether you're holding it up, holding it on the table, or holding it down, so down like this. So everything is an indication of frustration. Then steepling. Okay? The thumbs are touching each other and all the fingers are touching each other. This is what we mean by steepling. Steepling is a very good sign. This position is not when the steepler is giving his or her opinion or ideas and is doing the talking. So if you are the boss, if you have to communicate something to people, so you can just hold your hand like this, and then you can talk to them. It's a very good sign. It's a really positive sign. Lower steeple is a sign that the person is listening. Okay? If you want to communicate something, you can just keep your hands like this and you can talk. It's a positive sign. When you are holding it down, it's a sign that you are listening. You will come across a number of politicians who are doing this all the time, especially the Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel. She'll be always keeping the hands this way. See, you have a number of pictures here. In all these pictures, you will always find her holding it this way, because it is a positive sign. Because you're feeling really good, you're feeling really confident, and therefore you're holding your hands like this. See, here also you'll find, as she's talking to people, she's holding their fingers like this, stapling. Always she's using that. Gripping the hands and arms and wrists, we have different meanings for that. If you're gripping the hands, and if you're at the back, you're feeling confident, you're feeling positive, you have that royal feeling. If the hand is going up, it is holding the wrist, it is gripping the wrist, you are frustrated, you're angry, you're trying to control yourself. If the hand is going a little more up, all the more, there is too much of frustration, you're trying to just control yourself. Turtle posture is withdrawn. The shoulders are just going up and you're just withdrawn. You're not comfortable with people, and therefore you're just now taking this turtle posture. If you want to tell people that you are really feeling positive, you are feeling really confident, okay, don't ever take up this particular turtle posture. We have different kinds of arm crosses. Now, when we do the arm crossing and when there is no any need, then it is a sign of defensiveness, and you will not be able to receive the message properly. See, folding the hands or holding the hands like this is a sign of respect. That's how we are taught. When you stand in front of your boss, or when you talk to your parents or grandparents or the teacher, you have to hold your hand this way. That's how you're showing your respect. That's fine. But when there is no need, but if you're holding your hand this way, it is a sign of defensiveness. Okay, this is a very, very important posture. So she's telling, if you like it, you take it. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about it. She's taking a particular posture. This is a power posture, and she's taking this posture to say, if you like it, you take it. Otherwise, you leave it. You will find the soccer players, the football players, their genitals this way, because somebody's at the front and they're going to take a shot, they're going to kick the ball. It may hit a very vulnerable place, and therefore they're trying to protect. So whenever people are feeling threatened, they take this position. So if you're standing on the stage and if you're just trying to hide your genitals, this is called fig leaf position. Fig leaf position. This is not a very good position. So you have to keep your hands open. That indicates that you're really confident. So we avoid fig leaf position. Then we move on to hand to face gestures. So all this will indicate that we are trying to lie, just rubbing like this, or rubbing the mouth and then going to the nose. So everything will indicate that we are trying to deceive someone. Especially whenever we are saying a lie, automatically our eyes will go to the mouth, and then we will just not touch, because when you are about to say a lie, you become very nervous, and the body, the blood pressure will increase. And because there is increase in the blood pressure, the body will produce catecholamine. This is a particular chemical which will rush to the tissues in your nose, and that will create the tingling sensation. If I'm about to lie, and if I'm afraid that people will find it out immediately, I just go like this and then try to touch my nose, because I have the tingling sensation because of the chemical reaction that is taking place. So touching the nose is a very clear indication, again in context, only in context. I can just do this now, or I'm sitting alone, I can just do this. We cannot say he's planning to lie. Only in context, we have to understand the body language. Oh, it's the sign of boredom. Yeah, you must have come across this. So whenever sitting like this, you're sitting like this is a sign of boredom, and we are not interested in what the other person is communicating. Stalling. Someone will just remove the glasses and will be just keeping it in their mouth. It would mean stalling. Stalling would mean that the person is making a decision. When a person is making a decision, please don't interfere. Give them some time so that they are able to make a decision. Peering is looking above the glasses. When the person is very aggressive and they are trying to find fault with you, they're just looking at you above the glasses. So it gives you a very clear indication that the person is really angry, the person is really an aggressive person. There are some postures that just indicate whether the person wants to include us or not. When we have this kind of open posture, it is a very clear indication that somebody can come in, and then they can join the conversation. So this is the open posture. They are ready to take you in. If somebody is maintaining this position, when you go and talk to them, you become an intruder. We are not interested to include you. You come without our invitation, and therefore you are a pain in the neck. They will just not talk to each other and finally say yes or no. And then once again, they will begin the conversation with each other. So which means they're giving a very clear indication that you are not part of this dialogue. We have a number of pacifiers. We call them non-verbal pacifiers. They're called displacement gestures. We have a number of them. It is good that we become aware of it so that we are able to have control over them. See, when people touch the neck dimple, it's a sign that somebody is going through some kind of stress. This is the neck dimple. Some people, usually women, will just not touch that whenever they are talking because they're feeling insecure, feeling a little bit of frustration or anxious. They're just trying to hold here, or they're trying to cover this place. If you're rubbing your head like this, something is going on, you have to make a decision. Something difficult is going on, therefore you have to make a decision. You're just rubbing your head like this. This is also called a pacifier. Rubbing the neck, feeling discomfort, okay? Feeling insecure, feeling discomfort. Therefore, you're just rubbing your neck like this. Now, when you rub your neck like this, or when you're doing this, when you're talking, the heart rate will reduce. That's why it is called pacifier. Whether we know it or not, unconsciously, our hands will go here, or just hands will go here. So we'll just rub and we'll be communicating or talking to people. By doing this, we are bringing down the heart rate, so that we are able to communicate with people well. So this kind of touch and puffing off, this kind of gestures will indicate irritation, or you're very close to some kind of stressful situation. Oof, thank God, I just got over that. Oof. So this kind of expression will indicate that we are very close to some mishap. We are very close to that particular stressful situation. So this kind of touch will indicate with the back of your hand, you're touching others, it's a sign of irritation. Very often you will find men tightening the tie or just adjusting the tie. So when they are feeling stressful and feeling discomfort, or when they are going through anxiety, they very often do this. As I told you earlier, if somebody is rubbing the neck like this, or the neck, the front, something like this, it will bring down the heart rate so that they'll be able to communicate properly. So they want that stressful situation, and therefore they are going for this kind of gestures. Any touch that you have on your face, it's a sign of pacifier. It is you're trying to pacify yourself. It's called universal pacifier. So any touch that you have on your face, okay, it is a universal pacifier. You are going through some stress, and therefore you want to just come out of that. When people are whistling, it's also a kind of pacifier. So just go around as they walk along, or as they go for a walk, or they are walking the corridor, they are whistling and walking, they are humming and walking. It is a very good indication that the person wants to pacify himself, because the person is going through some tough time, therefore they want to pacify. Excessive yawning is also an indication of stress. Usually, when there's lack of sleep, we are yawning. But when you're going through excessive amount of stress, we also will begin to yawn very many times. Because when we go through stress, the inner wall of our mouth will become dry. The unconscious will create this yawning. It will automatically activate these salivary glands inside, and therefore it makes the whole mouth wet. That's how we are yawning very often when we are going through stressful time. Any kind of self-administered body hug is a pacifier. We can do it anyway. We can just rub here, or we can rub here, or we can just rub here. So all this self-administered body hug is an indication that we are going through stress or anxiety, and we want to overcome that, and therefore we just do that. By doing this, we'll be able to take care of ourselves. Another one is the leg cleanser. So some people just rub the leg like this. We may not be able to notice that, but we'll be just doing this very often, rubbing the neck. This is called the leg cleanser. This is also an indication of discomfort and anxiety. This is the ventilator. When you're feeling very hot, yeah, we may do this. That's fine. But when people have a dialogue with each other, when they're doing this, they're feeling some kind of discomfort, and therefore they're doing this very often. The climate is very, very hot, that's fine. But the climate is really good, but somebody is doing this very often. This is called the ventilator. Tapping or drumming. When people become impatient, they begin to tap, or they begin to do the drumming on the table. Some people have the habit of drumming and tapping. That's fine. Okay, they just want to enjoy, they play music, and they want to play music for a particular song, that's fine. But in a particular situation, in a context, if somebody is just doing that, the person is becoming very, very impatient. It's a very clear indication of nervousness and stress, nail biting. I just want to keep my hands clean, that's fine. But when you are doing it very often, sometimes if you're not aware of it, it is an indication that you're going through nervousness. So all these are called pacifiers. We want to take care of ourselves. We want to pacify ourselves so that we are doing number of actions and gestures like this. Now, using pacifiers, how to read people, how to read the body language. We have to find out or recognize pacifying behaviors when they occur. We have to be aware of it. We have to also observe other people. What kind of pacifier somebody is using? When people talk to you, are they using pacifier very often? Or are they using this kind of pacifier very often? So find out what kind of pacifier the person is using. And establish a pacifying baseline. See, there are baselines, which means some people will involve some activities all the time. That's called the baseline. If we don't understand that baseline, we will not be able to understand the body language of a particular person. So what is the baseline for a person? Some people will just do it again and again very often. When they're alone, they will do that. When they're alone also, they'll be just doing this. When they're watching movie also, they may do this. Or when they're listening to some song, they may do this. When they're studying something, they may do this. So this is a baseline for that person. Therefore, when we see somebody doing this, we cannot say immediately, yeah, the person is feeling anxious, that this person is going through some kind of difficult time. So we observe the person and find out what is the baseline for that person. And ask yourself what caused this person to involve in this pacifying activity. Why the person is involving this pacification, why the person is involved in this. So that's how we can understand the body language of someone. Now, why do we use these pacifiers? Fine. Why do we use this? We use this for a purpose. I'm just rubbing here, I'm rubbing here, or rubbing here, or I'm just rubbing here. Oof, I'm doing this. I'm doing this, all this pacification, there is a purpose, because the brain requires the body to do something that will stimulate nerve endings. By doing this, I'm stimulating the nerves. When I stimulate the nerves, what happens? My body is producing endorphins that will calm down my brain. Therefore, I'm doing all these actions so that my body will produce more and more endorphins. Men usually touch their face. Women will meddle with the neck or the clothing or the jewelry that they wear or the hair. With the hair, they'll be just playing. So they'll be using this kind of pacification to calm down themselves. And finally, the question is, can we fake the body language? Now, I have learned a number of gestures and postures. Can I fake the body language? It is impossible to fake the body language. Of course, for a little bit of time, you can do that. But you cannot fake the body language and cheat on someone, because the body language involves main gestures, micro signals, and spoken words. Now, everything has to be aligned in same line. But when we are lying, when we are faking, we cannot do that. It is impossible to do that. Because when I say micro signals, the twitches that you find on my nostrils are the micro signals. Or some kind of twitches you see on the side of the lip, it is the micro signal. So you cannot be taking care of these micro signals and then main gestures and then spoken words. You cannot put everything in one straight line. So we will fail. Faking the body language is impossible. For a certain time, yes, we can do that, but we cannot, fully fake the body language and cheat on someone. It's very, very difficult. Once again, I just want to reiterate what I said at the beginning. The body emits signals that are independent of conscious actions. The micro signals are not controlled by me. They are controlled by the unconscious. And therefore, I cannot control all these actions and control the micro signals. And my micro signals will betray that I'm saying a lie or I'm not comfortable. Again, I want to reiterate what Sigmund Freud said. Betrayal oozes out of every pore. Betrayal oozes out of every pore. Even if I want to hide the truth, I cannot do that because my body will be saying the truth. My body will be uttering the truth. So very easily we can find out whether somebody is faking the body language or not. I can say I'm really comfortable with you. I'm really friendly with you. I just want to be friendly with you. I can say, even though I don't want to be friendly with you, I can say that. But if you observe my eye, I observe the pupils, it will not dilate. Even though I'm trying to blink like this, even though I'm trying to keep my eyes wide open, I cannot make the pupil dilate because the unconscious is doing that. I can smile. This is the macro signal. Yeah, I'm really happy with you. I can smile. But if you observe the pupil, you can find out whether I'm really interested in the conversation. So there'll be verbal and non-verbal incongruence. I may say, I love you. Yes, I'm really interested, but there will be lots of non-verbal communication. There will be lots of non-verbal cues which will say that I'm not really happy with you. Therefore, we cannot fake the body language. And finally, we'll take just a few minutes and find out what are the rules for observing the body language. Be a competent observer of your environment. As you're traveling, as you're interacting, as you're watching movie, as you're going around, just observe how people are behaving, just to understand what is going on. We are not going to judge them. We are not going to brand them. We are not going to evaluate them. Just observe what kind of body language people are using. When they are selling the product, what kind of body language they are using. When they are smiling, when they are talking to you, what kind of body language they are using. So just be aware of it. Keep observing them. Only by observing we can find out. If you want to observe the politician, fine. So what kind of body language the person is using? Very often you will find lots of politicians touching their heart very often. Okay, so I want to tell you that this is really true. So which means they want to communicate from their heart. They want to say, they want to tell you the truth, and therefore very often they'll be touching their heart. So just be aware of these communications. Second, observe the body language in context. You have to observe the body language in context. Somebody sitting alone and they're doing a number of things. We cannot say he is trying to like, he's becoming very discomfort, and this person is going through stress. We don't say that. We observe the body language or the gestures in context. Only then that will make meaning. So you have to remember what Ray Wistel said. The body language makes sense only in context. Without the context, it is impossible to understand the body language. And we have to be aware of the universal body language. There are some nonverbal behaviors which are universal. It differs from people to people, from country to country. So we have to be aware of the body language. In India, if you nod your head this way, it would mean that you like it. If you nod your head this way, or if you shake your head this way, it would mean you don't like it, you don't want it. But it is different in other countries. If you nod this way, okay, I don't want it. If you nod this way, yes, I want it. So we have to be aware of the gestures and behaviors that are used in different parts of the world. There are some idiosyncratic non-behaviors. There are some behaviors which are exclusive to some people. This is what we mean by idiosyncratic non-verbal behavior. So we have to be aware of them, otherwise we'll be misled. For example, you'll find lots of cricketers on the ground. They'll be using some kind of gestures. They are very exclusive to them. Others will not repeat them. And these people will be doing this all the time. So we have to be aware of the baseline. We also have to be aware of this idiosyncratic non-verbal behaviors. So find out the baseline behavior, how a person would normally behave when there is no any stress, when they are not questioned, when they don't have any dialogue. Normally, how do they behave? Just be aware of that. Only then you'll be able to understand the right non-verbal communication, or you'll be able to understand the body language. Always observe multiple tests, which would mean observe them in clusters. Don't just observe only one particular body language and then say, he is having this stress, he is going through this tough time, this is deceit. No. So if you have to come to a conclusion, just observe whether the person is touching the mouth or touching the nose, okay, or doing this, or adjusting the glasses, okay, or looking at the watch unnecessarily very often. So observe everything, and then finally we can come to a conclusion. So always watch the people for multiple tells or behaviors that occur in cluster or in succession. When you observe people, be subtle. You cannot be just watching them all the time. When somebody becomes aware that they are being watched, they may change that behavior. That will be misled. And therefore, just be subtle when you're observing the body language of someone. You don't have to keenly look at them and take down whatever they are doing. So be subtle whenever you're observing people. Be aware that signals can be misread. That is, somebody gives handshake with you, and they're not holding the hand properly. Probably the person is suffering from arthritis, or somebody has some sprain, somebody has some trouble with the arm or the fingers, and therefore they cannot hold their hand properly. And therefore they may be giving dead fish handshake, or they may be giving only the tip of the fingers. And we cannot say, this person is feeling diffident. The person is not feeling close to me, and therefore he's giving only the tips of the finger, or he's not holding my hand. Probably I have problem with my thumb, or I have some problem with my fingers and the arm, and therefore I'm not able to give proper handshake. So be aware that signals can be misread. So we cannot immediately come to a conclusion. We have to observe things in succession and then come to a conclusion. And finally, keep these three in mind. You have to observe things in clusters. Observe number of body language that we have to understand. Observe them in context. Without the context, it doesn't have any meaning. What is the meaning of a nail? What is the meaning of a bank? It doesn't have any meaning. Only in the context, it has meaning. I went to the bank to get some money. Fine. Only in the context, it makes some sense. So we always keep this in mind. We have to observe the body language only in context, and we have to take the culture into consideration. Okay? In some cultures, okay, good morning, that's fine. Why he doesn't extend his hand to do the handshake? Yeah, this is my culture, and therefore just say good morning. In some cultures, okay, just say hi, that's all. That's okay for them. That is their culture, and therefore we also understand the culture of that particular person. Finally, congruence. The verbal and non-verbal communication. Do they go hand in hand? Is there congruence in what they say and what they do? Is it true that the verbal and non-verbal communication, they go hand in hand? So when you keep all these C's in mind, and when you observe the body language, when you study the body language, you'll be able to understand the people, and you'll be able to understand their feelings, their emotions, and you'll be able to offer them help. You'll be able to offer them empathy also. In the same way, you also observe your body language. That's how you'll be able to understand what is going on within you. By modifying the body language, we can also modify our emotions. This theory is called biofeedback theory. Biofeedback theory is given by Darwin. He's saying by changing the body language, we can also change our emotions and our feelings. I hope you had a good time on this particular session. And here are some recommendations for you. If you have to read on body language, you can go for Alan Pease. Body Language, How to Read Others' Thoughts by Their Gestures, written by Alan Pease. Desmond Morris, People Watching. The book written by Joe Navarro, What Everybody is Saying. Judy James, The Body Language Bible. And the book written by Peter Clayton, Body Language Network. And finally, James Ward. The name of the book is Body Language. Thank you.
So we thank Father Arul Xavier for his wonderful presentation. And we have seen already in the live chat in Zoom and also in the live stream of YouTube, so many appreciation people have done. We thank them. And our team has already called out some of the questions, some clarification that they want to ask to our resource person. And we have just forwarded the questions to him. And we'll have some time to clarify the doubts. And over to Father. And he will be giving some clarifications. And we are indeed happy for your wonderful presentation, Father. And people have already appreciated you. And here are some of the doubts and they would like to ask. The first question from Roslyn Juliet Mary. What is olfactus?
Olfactics.
Yeah.
Olfactus, okay. Olfactus is to do with the smell. How do we smell? What kind of cologne we use? What kind of scent we use? So just by smelling someone, we'll be able to understand from which status they are coming. Probably I'm coming from a poor background, and I don't use it in cologne, but I smell a lot because of my sweat. So more or less we can understand the person does not, the person comes from a particular background. Some people will be using some cologne which are very, very costly, which means the person is coming from a particular status and economically they are well off. Okay? So that will indicate whether they are coming from a particular background or not. So we call this olfactics.
So second question from Larina Fernandez. Could you explain the process of visualization to get things done effectively? Could you explain the process of visualization to get things done effectively?
Okay. So visualization comes under neuro-linguistic programming. So before we do something, we have a mental practice, and that creates the mental or pathways in our brain. And whatever we are going to do becomes it's imprinted in our brain very strongly, and therefore we'll be able to perform that particular thing well. An example, I want to give a presentation, I want to do some dance, or I want to perform something. I sit down, I close my eyes, and then I have a mental rehearsal right from the beginning to the end. I just go through that particular process from the beginning to the end. I just get into the room, I go to the stage, I'm standing on the stage, and I hold the paper, and the mic is in front of me, and people are there, and I'm beginning to talk. Everything, just close your eyes and go through the whole process. When you repeat this time and again, that creates neural pathways in the brain, neural pathways. When it becomes very strong, when you go to that stage, when you go to that particular place, automatically, you practice will come into realization. That's why we have to take a practice and then go. We call it visualization in neuro-linguistic program. The simple thing is that we are creating neural pathways, may it be games, may it be dance, or may it be any kind of physical activity. When you take a practice, that will create more and more neural pathways. That will make you more comfortable when you're going to that particular place of performance.
Just 3 more questions, Father. Question from Snega. What is chronomics? How do we understand that?
Okay. Chronomics. Chronomics is to do with the time. How do we make use of the time? Do we respect the time of someone? If somebody is my boss, if he's telling me, okay, you have to be here at 6 o'clock, I'll be there at 5:30. But if my friend is inviting, or somebody who is not in power is inviting, okay, we have to be there at 6 o'clock. I may go at 6:30, 6:45, or even 7 o'clock also. So by keeping up the punctuality, I'm communicating whether I'm respecting somebody or not. So how do we make use of the time? So that would mean chronomics.
Question from Yogeshwari. How does this non-verbal communications works unconsciously? This is our webinar title. How does the non-verbal communications works unconsciously?
Okay. Now, all our behavior, okay, most of them are consciously they are exhibited or manifested, semi-consciously they are exhibited, unconsciously they are exhibited. For example, I'll be just scratching like this, or I'll be doing this, or I'll be just doing this. Everything comes from the unconscious, because the unconscious has stored up lots of information, and all these gestures will come automatically, and my unconscious is manifested in my body language. Very simple thing. I'm feeling very much stressed out, or I'm feeling very much frightened. I begin to sweat. I'm not telling myself to sweat. I'm not telling myself, that I have to cool down my body by sweating. No, it doesn't happen. The unconscious is taking care of everything. Now, I'm not interested in somebody, when I'm not interested in some dialogue, or when I'm not interested with some conversation, okay, just do this. I may not be aware of it. So which means this is boring. I don't really like it. But the unconscious will be giving this kind of indications. And whenever we are feeling stressed out, our bloodstream, that is, the blood vessels will, bulge, automatically just bulge. So to calm down or to settle down, the body is producing more sweat so that we'll be able to cool down. You can find people, when they have to address somebody, and when they have to apologize, and they are forced to apologize, or they are asked to apologize in the presence of everyone, if they are not convinced of it, and if they have to acknowledge, they will acknowledge, I'm sorry that I did this mistake. They will acknowledge. But if you just observe the nostrils, that will just bulge, which means I'm forced to acknowledge. This particular movement is coming from the unconscious, which means I'm not happy with this acknowledgement. I'm not happy with the apology. I don't want to apologize, but I'm forced to apologize. So unconsciously, I don't want this, but they're forcing me to do this. So I'm sorry, I did this mistake. I'm communicating verbally, consciously I do it, but unconsciously my nose are bulging, my nostrils are just bulging to say that I'm not happy with it. So whatever we are aware of, okay, we are expressing through our body, but whatever we are not aware of, the unconscious will just manifest everything through our body language. And we don't have control of this unconscious. It will do things by itself. When I have to sweat, when my heartbeat should go up, when it has to come down, it is not controlled by me. The unconscious will take care of it. So the body language is exhibited, or is the unconscious manifests itself through the body language.
This is the last question from Scholastica. How can one identify a psychologically depressed person with his or her gestures?
So when somebody goes through, depression, you'll have lots of external signs. So which means care will be very, very less. You will not find any self-care, on the person. Probably they may not comb the hair properly, or they may not take care of themselves. They may not even take bath, and the communication will be very, very poor. The sense they may not interact with people. They will always seclude themselves, and they cannot enjoy doing things. So, if I'm all right, if I just want to watch TV, I'm enjoying, I watch some movie, I enjoy that. But if you see this kind of people, they may not find interest in anything, they may not find joy in anything. So these are some of the external signs by which we can say somebody is going through depression. Just by looking at the person, more or less you'll be able to gauge it. And you'll find little dark circles also under the eyes, because they will not have proper sleep. Some people will have more sleep, some people will have very less sleep. Or they may also gain lots of body weight, because either they will eat too much or they will not eat at all. So they will go to any extreme. So these are some of the indications to say that the person might be going through depression. Of course, we cannot just observe the person and we cannot come to a conclusion, yeah, the person is going through a depression. These are some of the indications. And added to that, we have to interact them. We have to have a dialogue with them and find out whether they are really going through clinical depression.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you for your clarifications. We also thank the participants for raising some questions to clarify things. We almost come to an end of today's webinar section. E-learning doesn't just happen. It requires careful planning and implementation. Therefore, here comes Reverend Father Mani Lazar to propose the word of thanks.
It's my pleasure to thank the resource person, Reverend Father Xavier, the director of the Fountain College Counseling and Psychology, at Sundarbeti, Krishnagiri, Tamil Nadu, India.
It's my pleasure to thank the resource person, Reverend Father Alan Xavier, the director of Fountain College Counseling and Psychotherapy, which is located at Sundarbeti, Krishnagiri, Tamil Nadu, India. Dear Father, your lecture on body language was very profound and simply superb. I just went through the comments both in YouTube and the live. The comments have revealed that your presentation was simply superb. You have communicated the content in a crystal clear manner. Thank you, dear Father. Our sincere thanks to our college secretary and principal for giving us this opportunity to organize on body language. Our sincere thanks to Reverend Dr. Joe Sanjay, the head of the Department of Counseling Psychology, for his tireless working and organizing this webinar and organizing the resolution and organizing various committees and teams with the shared responsibilities. Our sincere thanks to Father Selvaraj, who moderated the entire session, and to our professors, Professor Anto and Professor Lata Munsami, for their wonderful cooperation and collaboration. Our sincere thanks to Dr. Prabhu and Dr. Collins and Reverend Dr. Borg for the technical assistance for this webinar. And our sincere thanks to the research scholar, Mr. Joshua Chalabani, for the entire visual designing of the poster, certificate, and all the other technical work. Our sincere thanks to the student organizers, Reverend Brother Jacob and Katim and Elizabeth, for their assistance. Dear participants, a short announcement and reminder to you: ensure that you fill your feedback, which will be shared at the end of the session through the chat box in the Zoom and YouTube platforms. Certificates will be provided only to those participants who will fill in the feedbacks from within 2 hours from the completion of the webinar. So thank you